Hello and welcome to Ula Tea Leaf Readings. My name is Lenor and tonight I'm going to be reading your tea leaves. This is a horoscope for Aries. If Aries is your solar, lunar, ascendant / rising sign, then this is a message for you. All right, let's get started. And so we have the Four of Swords here, and this has everything to do with truce, right? So kind of coming to an understanding in some kind of situation, right? Something like a conflict or a business deal or, something, a disagreement. And that's not a bad thing, right? It doesn't necessarily mean that the thing is finished, but at least right now there is kind of, that ceasefire going on, right? So let's go ahead. We're going to take a look. And immediately I see we have a face right here. We don't even have to go too far. We have this little face here. You can see the eyes, the nose, the mouth. Above the head, it looks like there is maybe a tree, almost kind of like a mountain range and a tree growing. So I feel like there really is this kind of, well, now this one looks like a face too. 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth. So I feel like where there has been, it feels so sorrowful, right? Like these moments of just like, how am I at this point? How did I get here? Why is my life like this, right? Not that things are terrible or that there's anything that is so intensely urgent in this moment, but we all have these moments where we just stop and we look around and we think, what about all the people that have gone before me, right? All the people that I've grown up with, the people of my family that took care of me, my beloved ones, the moments that have come and passed, the opportunities that have come and passed, the missteps and the victories and everything else. And here I am in this moment, and how have I ended up here? And it's not necessarily that it's a bad thing. It's just at times perplexing. Right? Even when it's a wonderful thing, I sometimes stop in my life and think, how the heck am I so lucky? Now, I still have my hardships, of course, but I also have my daughter and my husband and my beautiful family, and that's all I need, right? But sometimes I feel almost an anxiety, a terror for a moment, thinking, I came from nothing. I came from chaos. I came from, a world that was so cruel. And yes, there was love there. And yes, there were moments and things and a lot of beauty. But where I came from and where I'm at, two completely different universes. And I stop sometimes and I think, what the heck? How am I here in this moment? I don't think I could even find my way back. I don't know. I'm so far along the path now, I don't know. And I feel like for you, there have been these moments where it's almost, like an existential crisis. You get lost in the thought of it. But I feel like you have been working hard to fill your mind, your life, your days with things that are beautiful, with things that make you feel inspired. That tree growing out of the head, on the verge of blossoming, right? The fruits are growing. And it's a beautiful sight. I feel you emotionally and especially psychically flourishing here in these next months. I feel that you're coming into a place where the door is wide open and you are stepping through, and there's power there. This will be one of those moments in your life where things seem to really click into place, where you think, dang, things are really going my way. I could get used to this. So I feel an ease, I feel a growing, I feel a sense of flourishing, plant consciousness. You are so plugged into everything around you. Now, in these kind of heightened states, we can become quite sensitive. It's not all good, right? Sometimes we start picking up on frequencies that can really, really feel like they bring us down. They can feel intensely emotional, overwhelming. I already know that you're an empath. I don't have to even think about it. I already know. So maybe working on putting in some boundaries for yourself, some, kind of barriers between you and, just the ambience of the world. But also thinking about how you can allow these energies around you without internalizing them, which is a big learning that process. I myself am working on it too, right? Because I do these readings. I also do private readings, and, I work with people constantly throughout my days. And, not only that, in my private life, I just seem to be one of those people that others feel, I think, comfortable sharing things with me, which I'm so honored by that. But it is often it is heavy energy, right? And if we're engaging and communing with people like this constantly throughout our days, every day of the week, right? It can really affect you. It really, it does. And you have to learn how to, not internalize every single thing. And that is difficult. But it's necessary, especially when you're somebody like you are, somebody who is empathic, who is really dialed towards compassion and understanding and inclusiveness, and really, the thing about an Aries, my voice is almost going to crack here. My best friend, who I grew up with, and I'm not going to say her name, even though every time I do an Aries reading, I'm like just on the verge. But she has taught me through the years, consistently, Aries people just are so very caring. You want the best for others. Because you've been through some stuff, right? You're not going through life, ignoring how you feel. Ignoring and stuffing hard feelings down and, whatever. Trying to just absolutely, perceive the world as something that it's not. No, you live very much in your clarity. And you know how painful things can be. And you don't want that for other people. In fact, I think you go out of your way to try to help people so that they don't ever feel that way. You raise your children in such a way that you hope they will never suffer in the ways that maybe you have at times. And that's a lot of work. That's a lot of pressure. But that's kind of the nature of an Aries. And so learning how to, let those feelings come and go, but also to honor how you feel And give yourself a break sometimes. That's the hard thing about being a person that is prone to these empathic energies, right? It's hard to allow yourself to detach from that work and just go and recharge. But you have to. You know, unless you're going to crash and burn. And that's just the reality of it. So we have, it looks like a mother figure, goddess figure. We have two people, it looks like children, holding the hand over the top of one. And I really feel like this is kind of almost like a blessing. This is like a teaching, raising these children, okay? Being there to bestow on them your wisdom. And this is really, truly the work of your life. It is not just that maybe these are not your children. Maybe you're a teacher or mentor, or, you know, you hold some position where you are teaching people, and that's your calling, right? That's what you care about. And my stomach just grumbled. I'm so hungry. I have to go bake pies next. And so I need to get something, a snack. My goodness. I've been trying to fast a little bit before we get into all the cooking. Now behind this person, we can see there is a person here. Here's the head. And it looks like they're wearing a robe. It really reminds me, and I have to say it does, it reminds me of a ghost. And I feel like there has been not only the feeling of somebody around, but I feel like you've had an experience with like an apparition. And what is an apparition? It's like it's when you actually see or hear the entity. So you see something kind of like floating in the hallway or whatever. Now, I'm not going to hex you with that, right? I'm not bringing that energy to your house. I'm not throwing it at you. But I do feel like you have had this experience, and it is something that maybe has repeated itself, or something similar has happened not too long ago, or it's going to happen pretty soon here. But I don't think it's that surprising for you, because you're somebody that's very psychic, very empathic. So of course you would pick up on the energies of something. Now I do feel like this is attached to probably the family. Not nefarious, doesn't feel bad. It actually feels like an ancestor or an elder who is sticking around. Okay, so this is kind of like a guardian, guiding angel type of situation. Now, up here, we have, again, the mother. Okay, we also have the dog over here. And I feel like it just really is sticking out and kind of like wants to be confirmed that there is really this loyalty. That's the thing for you. It's all about loyalty. At the end of the day, you can have arguments with your sister, or you can, not agree with your child who's, grown or whatever. And, you kind of get into a little debate or spat about it, but it's always loyalty. Like, you're never going to move against your own. You're never going to forsake them. You're never going to forget them. You're never going to walk away from them. I mean, listen, within reason, right? But that is one of the biggest qualities that not only like you have and as a parent, but I think that you do also take pride in it. You are somebody who is endlessly riding for yours, and that's never going to change, right? That's never going to change. I also, I see you, and we have this kind of, as we turn this, it looks like almost like a large volcano with a face on it. And I feel like ultimately your position within the family will be kind of, well, matriarch, patriarch at some point, in the future. But I also feel like you are the one that is the most diplomatic, and you can be the mediator. Now, if you push you to the edge, right? You're snapping off. Don't get it twisted, right? You're not a pushover. But you're ascending to this family, head of the family position, right? And so I feel like through your natural evolution, you are really like kind of calming your soul down. You are much more reasonable than you were in your youth. You are willing to take a beat, to reserve judgment, to try to hear all sides, right? And not only that, you're very understanding. You're flexible and you're resourceful. You'll figure it out. So that's what makes you like this perfect entity to really be kind of the heart of the family, which you are. And I know it feels like a lot and you might be shaking your head. Nah, that's my mom. That's my dad. You know, that's my sister's taking that place, or, you know, whatever it is. I don't believe it. I'm just going to say it straight up. You know, you might be the silent one that does all the things, and you do it without all the glory of being, you know, the head of the family. But you are. And you will be. And you'll continue to do so. And you're not going to give up that position. I mean, it is. It's all about that loyalty. Doing the hard thing because you do it for your people, your family, your community. Now, here's where the volcano kind of comes in. You have to do things for yourself as well. You have to remember yourself. You have to think about what are you comfortable with? Where are your boundaries? How far out of those will you go? You know, all of that. Because here's the thing about you, is you have a pretty long fuse, but once you get to that place, ooh girl, it takes a lot to bring you down from there. Now, you're a forgiving person, but it takes time. And they better be authentic, right? In their apologies and their posture towards you, all of that. Because if not, you will never, ever forget. And you don't. You don't forget. But you have a kind heart. And you try to see the best in people. But if they send you to that place, that volcano is going off. That volcano will blacken out the sun. So, don't mess with an Aries. Therefore, do not mess with an Aries. All right, let's see. We have this face again. We have more face. More face. Look at this right here. So we really do. We also have a stop sign right there. And a mailbox. We also have a person who looks like they're hunting. They have a bow and arrow right there. Here's a bird up here. So I feel like you're going to get mail. It might be snail mail. It might be a text. It might be an email. I don't know. But there's some kind of message coming for you in the physical world. Okay? And this is going to be something that you have to really stop and think about. Like, what is your next move? Okay? Now, I see the person hunting, and I feel, I can't help but feel like this is about love. And I'm sorry to say that, but I do. I feel like this is about love and about really working towards being able to communicate freely. Just this real feeling I get of being so tired of like getting to know somebody and it feeling like this, you know, well, the most like, it's like the most optimal, right? In that court, usually anyways, during the courtship, at least in those initial, like trying to connect, right? And I feel like some of that has worn off, and you're starting to see like, we have some real differences here, and especially within the zones of communication. And I feel like this is something that really, I mean, it can be very damaging to the relationship, because you have to be able to talk. You have to be able to even like get through your feelings so that you can even think of like what you need to say, or to listen, to hear them, right? And I think that's the big thing here, is like, you are seeing we have some blockages, man. We got our shields up, and what we're saying to each other, we might mean it, but it's like it's not landing and you're not receiving. So I feel like the really big thing here is about learning to get into, and maybe it is even kind of the truth, just enough room so that you can have a productive conversation. And this is something I really had to learn in this marriage that I'm in now, right? Because I, you know, as a younger person, I was young when I was married before my husband passed away. But in that, I can say fully, in that relationship, I did not have these skills yet, right? It was always about ending up being the right, who's right? And now it's, yeah, I still know I'm right, of course, but I'm a Virgo. I'm always right. That's a joke, by the way. I know, I can see you like, ugh. But yeah, sometimes you have to concede a little bit. Sometimes you have to compromise. Sometimes you have to say, dude, you are so wrong, but okay, let's try it. You know, I don't think this is going to work, but I trust you enough that we're going to try it, right? And so I do. I feel like this is kind of where that true center, maybe just figuring it out. So you can get to that place where everybody can kind of come to an understanding together. And that's ultimately it, right? Now, my Cancer husband, shout out to my husband over at Dove and Serpent Tarot, he might not agree because, right, Cancer people don't always want to talk it out immediately. I am. I'm a yapper. I need to talk it out. I'm not the person that can get in an argument and it's like, okay, let's sleep on this and then we'll talk about it in the morning. Are you kidding me? I'm never going to sleep again. I have to talk a little bit. Just a little bit. Then we can figure it out in the morning, right? And, you know, that's not the style of everybody, but sometimes that's what needs to happen. You know, sometimes we do. We just have to get to that point where we can have that little, you know, it's like a crack where the light is coming in. Got to get to that, just find that little crack there so we can get through this thing, right? Knock it down a little bit and get through this blockage. And so, yes, that seems to be the work here. Now, let's do our lucky numbers. I'm going to do 3 of them. Number 2, 96, 2, and 55. 55. All right. So let's go ahead. We're going to finish with our Mary Magdalene Oracle cards here. And I'm just going to flip through. I'm going to stop where it feels right. And it says, the legacy. Love is always legendary. Love is always legendary. Absolutely. All right, Aries, I love you. I thank you for spending this time with me. It is always such an honor for me to be able to bring these messages to you. And if you would be so kind as to like the video, it helps the channel quite a bit. all that engagement does. Also, if you haven't subscribed, please think about doing that. You can hit that little bell. It'll let you know when the next readings are coming out. It's free to subscribe. Also, thank you to each of you who have subscribed. We've just hit 52K finally. Oh, no, not finally. It seems like it's going so fast, honestly. Sometimes I'm like, oh my gosh, it's going so slow. But recently, since, I don't know, maybe like 45K or so. It seems like it's really picked up. It's getting a little faster. And I appreciate that. We've become quite a community here. And so, also, if you want to leave a comment, that's the other thing. I love to hear from all of you. I love all of your stories, and I've gotten to know quite a few people through the channel over the last couple of years here. And honestly, that is one of the biggest blessings for me, being able to, well, partake in this kind of, we all are meeting at this crossroads. Our paths are kind of intersecting, and it's a beautiful thing. I feel very privileged. So if you want to reach out, go ahead and do that in the comments. There's also an email in my description. I do read all of my emails. Sometimes it takes me a while to get back to you, but I will. So with that, again, I'm going to tell you I love you and I thank you, and take care of yourself. We're going to talk real soon. Good night, good night, good night.